Hey everyone, Saturday's here. Another live stream. Hi to the huge amount of people that are already with us. I think there's about 3 watching. So, hi from Australia. I don't know who's there. Make sure you say hi in the live chat. I know that our chat tends to grow a little bit as the stream starts. I don't do a lot of the social media sort of advertising that the stream is on, but for those who are subscribers of my channel will know that I do this live stream every Saturday. So here I am doing the live stream. So this week I did promise that I was going to do some stuff on the Roland System-8. So definitely the Roland System-8 is here, and I can even just, there it is right in front of me. So we've got the System-8 here. Now this thing's a massive synth, and I don't really have a lot of desk space, I guess, you know, to show you this and you know, do like proper footage of it and everything like that, because this is a live stream. I need to be hands-on with all of the controls. I'm on my own here, so I don't have a production crew. It's not a TV station, but you know, just to give you an idea what we're looking at, there's the System-8. Well, if I point that way, yes, I got it right, because I'm actually pointing the opposite direction to where it is. Even though you guys are seeing me pointing to this, the System-8 is actually right here. It's kind of weird. There it is. Anyway, you know what cameras are like, they're just weird. Say hi in chat. I know there's you know, a few of us here. So yeah, anyway, there's the System-8. We're going to be checking that out today. A lot of people have been asking me to do stuff on this, so here it is here. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, so you will have to put up with me clearing my throat, and maybe I might even do some coughing and so forth, but I'm not too bad in terms of sickness. I'm just a little bit of a cold. It's winter over here in Australia, so we catch colds this time of the year, everyone. This cold is not a bad cold, it's just it's an annoying one, you know. You don't get kind of like tired or anything like that. It's just in your nose and in your throat. So yeah, make sure you say hi in chat. Let us know what you've been up to this week. It's been a pretty big week for everyone, I guess, because there's been some exciting news, as you guys have heard. So what I thought we'd do is we do 2 segments with my live stream each week. So let's get stuck into the first one, which is the funny side, and I've got a couple. I have to admit, this week I haven't been active in funny side. So these are kind of there's an old one from me that I did a few years ago, and some reasonably funny ones that I found. So let's do the funny side. Let's get that up and running now, and ready to roll. Go. All right, here we are at the funny side segment, and as you guys can see, there's a car. What is this? What's so funny about this? Well, the caption that was on this was just a text caption, and I didn't really get time to dock the image and put the text on it. So I'll just tell you what it said. It said, "Rate my doorless setup." So there you go. If you didn't pick that one, you should be able to pick that one. Okay, that was pretty lame, I have to admit. This one I did a while ago, a few years ago actually, and I don't know, some people might see if you can get it if you're in chat. Just definitely absolutely fire away and let us know if you can get it in the chat room. Here we go. Should Studio Logic make another synth? No, but yellow. I don't know if you guys get it, but it's I found it funny. Can hear crickets in the crowd here. Anyway, so that's that one, and going on with more of this graph theme that we have. I found this one. This one was actually just the other day it came out, so let's roll with it. Ambient music fans and that same color is also ambient musicians. So yeah, hi out there to all the ambient musicians who have now been offended by this graph. There we go, there's a nice ambient reverb tail going for you. So yeah, there we go, there's our funny side for the week. Let me know in chat if you liked it, or if you tell me if you think I should just give up. Anyway, that's the funny side. So let's do back to our chat just to see if nobody's jumped in to say hi yet. Make sure you do jump in to say hi. I'm just going to clear my throat because it's getting a bit throggy. There we go. You didn't even have to listen to that. Right, now System-8. Let's go to it here. There we go. So, what do you guys want to know about the System-8? What sort of questions do you have? Let me know in the chat room. It's all ready to go, ready to rock and roll. Whilst we're waiting for these questions to come in, I might just get the news segment ready because we do news every week. And what did we do last week? That's right, we did this one here. So last week we showed you this circuit board that Behringer announced, and it was I thought it was pretty obvious what it actually was, but it just happens that we were right. It's actually, they've announced that they're going to be doing the ARP 2600, and in fact they have released a couple more pictures of it. I'll try and find them while we're talking. Here we go. No, that's not it. Where are we? There was a bit of ARP 2600 news. I think the what do you call it? TTSH. They also announced that they're going to be they've done some updates for it, and they're going to be relaunching theirs as well. But I'm just trying to find the render. Well, not the render, the actual photo. Oh, geez. I haven't come prepared today, have I? I don't think it went that far back. Where is it? 2 people in the chat room at the moment. So we'll just wait for the more to join in, and we'll definitely get stuck into the Roland System-8 once we get some more people fronting up. Okay, here we go. Here's the picture, and I just want to save that. So I can show you guys. All right, now we'll just go into here. And I've got to do some magic with mouse clicking for this to work. Let's see if I can get it to work. Oh my goodness me, it's massive. Okay. How are we going to make this work? This is a huge picture. Deary me. Sorry, I've got to resize this picture. It's humongous. So at least it's a very, very big render that they've given. Well, it's not a render, it's a photograph, actually, of their... Let me just... I've got to do some tricky stuff here. Sorry, it's not making very good. Here we go. There we go. So they did actually announce this week. So the news was confirmed. They announced it. There is the picture of the actual. Let's get a better version of it for you. There you go. Picture of the actual chassis, and I'm really excited. Who's excited about this news? I think this is amazing. This news. The 2600 is a iconic synthesizer, and the company ARP haven't been around for a long time. So this will be affordable for all of us, whereas these vintage versions of these are not. You know, there's only so many of these in the world, of the original ones, that is. So, you know, becoming affordable for all of us, will be able to pick up from where these have left off, I guess, and add our current musician flair to what this thing is capable of doing. So these things are pretty deep. You know, when you think that they've made sounds like R2D2 and in so many albums, so you can imagine with the technology that we have today and the knowledge that we have today about synthesizers, where this can go, and without actually changing any of this architecture, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, ARP 2600 is the news of the week. Even though it was a bit of news of last week, definitely the news of this week. Just coughing, sorry. Have to put up with my cold this week. Alright, nobody in chat. Where is everyone? What's going on? It's a very, very quiet Saturday. It must be, is it hot weather over in the other side of the world? What's happening over there? Let's have a quick look at the weather in London. I know it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It says it's 18 degrees at the moment in London. So that's the same temperature as it is here. And we're having winter. What's the weather like in New York? According to Google, it says it's 23 degrees in Celsius. Now you guys in New York, it's 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's nice. That's quite a nice day. It says it's cloudy. So you guys have got a nice day over there. Nice mild sort of weather. A little bit windy, apparently. A little bit windy. Anyway, so we know it's not the weather keeping you out or in. Yeah, really just need to get onto the System-8 now, don't we? So let's grab that up, because that's what people are looking for. And why don't I just play a little bit until we get people joining in, I guess, and then they can start talking. So... Oh, okay, yes, I forgot about this. I've actually got loaded, well, these are a bunch of patches that I purchased, actually, from somewhere, I can't remember now. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description. I don't mean to cut anyone off here that actually did design these patches, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, so these are kind of like Vangelis patches. And there's quite a few in here, actually. It's a beautiful sounding patch. Anyway, so there's heaps in here, and without me going through them all and boring you, let's just see if the standard... Yeah, there's some standard Roland patches in there as well. Cool, right. So for those who have never ever seen a System-8 before, here is a System-8, and it is a really, really cool synthesizer. I guess it does have some limitations, but I think overall, it's basically just as good as an analog synth. But it's not, it's digital. Everything about it is digital. But what it does is it actually emulates some very iconic Roland 1980s synthesizers, and as well as it's got its own very, very deep and powerful engine called the System-8 engine. So obviously you can see there it's the Jupiter 8 that it emulates, the Juno 106, and you've also got plug out 3 here, which I've actually got loaded the JP, how do you say it? JX3P, there we go. Just trying to do this off my head. And do I have effects on here or something? yeah, there's there's your JX3P plug out. You can actually load your own plug outs. Roland have got quite a few, and they've, you know, most of them are monophonic though. So they've got like this, the SH101, the SH2, Promars. Yeah, there's a few system something, system 100 or something. Anyway, there's plenty of plug outs you can load into this, and obviously the most famous is the Jupiter 8. So and it's a beautiful, you know, plug out. But what makes this, I guess, better than just having a VST plug out is that you've got all of these physical hands-on controls. And as a sound designer, this is a sound designer synth where you've got almost pretty much a knob per function here. You've got so much control, and each of the plug outs, they have different, some of these controls are mapped differently per plug out. Like for example, in the Juno 106, you'll notice that the amp envelope lights all turned off, because in the original Juno it only had one envelope. So, but in the Jupiter it had two, so you'll notice it turns on for that. In the JX3P, you'll notice that there's two envelopes on that. So things turn on and off based on the synth that you're using. So you also notice when I went to the Jupiter that the Juno, sorry, that it only has one oscillator. So oscillator 2 is all disabled. Okay, and obviously Jupiter's got two oscillators, and the JX33 has got two. But the difference is there's differences in what these oscillators will offer you depending on what plug out you're in. So yeah. Nobody's in chat asking questions. Definitely had people who said that they were going to turn up and talk about the Jupiter and the Juno and the System-8 this week, so maybe they just have forgot. But anyway, let's keep going on. What would you like to see me do with this? What would you like me to show you in here? You know, I think it's kind of, it's an important synthesizer in terms of the history of synthesizer development. It's limited to 8 voices, which is probably, for my mind, I think it's a disappointment because it is digital. You know, Roland could have just put a beefier bit of memory or CPU, or what do they call it, FPGA processor in here, and they could have easily have gone more beefy. But from what I've been told on the hush line is that if they did, this would have needed fans, and it would have put the price of this thing up quite considerably. I mean, it's still pretty pricey. What do they go for now? We'll do the Sweetwater price. That always is a good guide. System-8, $14.99 US. It's not bad. I mean, yeah, that's not that expensive. I think I think it definitely cost more than that when it first came out. Yeah, it's probably gone down a couple of $100 since it first came out. That's a pretty cheap synthesizer. So Marshall's here. Hi Marshall, thanks for joining. Been waiting for people to jump into chat, so you're the first. Congratulations. Yeah, so we've done everything, or now we're just straight into the System-8. So if you've got questions, mate, please jump in and ask. John McCube has joined in as well. How you going? Good to see you, mate. So yep. So we've got, as I said, John, we've got the System-8. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay. Everything's going through on the stream. Good. I actually got my stream window closed at the moment. I should keep that open. Keep an eye out. There we go. Everything looks healthy, it says, according to YouTube. That's good. Awesome. So, so basically where we were getting at with this thing is each of these plugouts has its depth, because the synthesizers that it's emulating had limitations, or, you know, like the Jupiter 8 was almost unlimited. But having said that, if you want pretty much everything of everything in this, you can actually just use the System-8 engine itself. And this thing is deep as hell. This thing is massive. Now, there was a firmware update this thing had when it came out. I can't even remember. Someone might want to look up on my channel with the videos that when I did the firmware update video on here. It was around the same time that they launched the JX33 plug out. Might have been towards the end of last year. I can't remember now anyway. Earlier this year, who knows. But the big thing, the oscillators that they added to it were massive. So I added FM, and you know, so the FM stuff is under your variations. So you've got variations 3 and 4 here. Now I've done videos on this already. So this stream is not about me showcasing the System-8, reviewing it or anything like that. This is like an interaction with you guys. So I want you to ask me to show something that you're not sure about, or something that you haven't perhaps seen, or if there's a feature that you want. So I'll get the manual open if we need it, and we can go through things. But there's the FM oscillator here. And you can turn these other oscillators off. So we've got oscillator 2. Turn all these off. No noise. Okay, nothing. There we go. Excuse me. Sorry guys, I've got a cold this week, so not a bad thing, but I just have a little cough every now and then. All right, so there is our. Let's turn the effects off too. Okay, so we've got. You can hear that's just FM. You know, there's nothing unusual about this. Very, very FM-y sounding, so... So to change each of these waveforms in FM, you use the color knob. Right, so whoopie-doo-doo, that's FM. You know, what's so great about that? Well, nothing. It's nice to be in here. Don't forget, FM's digital, so this is a digital synth, so why not? Now, what I find that I like about it is that it's putting FM into a synthesizer that I can now mix with an analog modeling style synthesizer. At the same time, I can so I can have FM sounds with subtractive analog modeling sounds, and also I can apply the standard subtractive filter sounds to it. So in terms of that, its creative possibilities are massive. So yeah, I mean, as John was saying in chat, FM synthesis is it's an area that a lot of people may not understand. But if you do get a System-8, it's not going to be a massive learning curve for you, I guarantee you, because it's you won't need to go in and program algorithms and things like that like you may have on, say, DX7, and as we all know, that stuff gets pretty complex. So I'm just trying to think if I've got if I downloaded under the manual the update. It's got the plug out. Yeah, I don't remember downloading it. Oh, maybe July. No, I don't think it was July. I'm just having a quick look. at the manual to see if I downloaded it. Nah, okay, alright, cool. And one thing I forgot to mention too is also there's a vocoder in this as well. So it's, you know, it emulates system Jupiter, Juno, JX3Ps, SH101s. It is an FM synth. It is a vocoder. It is a massive VA in its own right, and it's also got a pretty awesome effects section over here. You can't quite see it on my right hand side, but that's pretty awesome. Just keeping an eye on chat. Hi Michael B, greetings. So let me just take a little sip. Just letting you guys know who've just joined, I've got a little cough, cold, so every now and then I'm going to mute and take a drink. Which will prevent me from coughing. But nothing to worry about. It's just a standard cold we get. It's winter here where I am living, so everyone gets colds this time of year, especially if you've got kids. They bring them home from school, and we just love that. No, we don't. Anyway, what I was saying about the FM and the subtractive analog modeling stuff is that you can then hear that. You can start getting some awesome sounds that you probably wouldn't have got necessarily on a DX7, for example, because they didn't really have filters on them, and they didn't have that subtractive sort of side of it. So Marshall's got a question. How many plugouts are there? Is it just the 3? Yeah. So when you buy it, it will have Jupiter 8 and Juno preloaded, and you'll notice that they've got the stickers there. And plugout 3 is usually blank, but you can download the JX3P plugout for free. It's no cost. Some of their plugouts do cost money. I think John Cuba said he's got the System 1, so he will know that some of the plugouts that you I think the System 1 came with the SH101 plugout, but all the others were you had to pay for. And I've got the System 1, he's got the System 1M, and I've put the SH101 plugout on here before, and this thing just acts like a mono synth. It sounded the same as the System 1, so it wasn't any benefit. But that was just so I could try out how you can load and unload plugouts on here, and that feature works fine. So by default, Marshall 2, but if you download the 3rd, it's technically 3. So you can fit 3 on here. It's a little bit of a pain if you're thinking, like, if you were in a concert situation and you wanted to unload and load a plug out, that I wouldn't advise. It's a bit more of a process to get plug outs in here. Remembering too that each plug out will have its own patch memory, and so each plug out has banks A to H with 8 parts to each bank. So I think that works out to be 64 for those who are playing along at home. So yeah, excuse me. In terms of what I was trying to sort of get at before, I guess, is your variants of your FM. I think there's 2 different types of FM, and I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. If you do want to know exactly all that sort of stuff, there was a video on my channel about this. But one of them was kind of logarithmic linear type FM, and the other one was your standard DX7 type algorithmic FM. The FM sounds so weird with a filter. It's good fun. It's very, very FM-y. The other thing, I guess, that I think is cool about this too is when you're in the System-8 mode, with the latest firmware update on this, you can I think you can load like the Jupiter 8 filters in here now. So yeah, there's heaps of different filters in here. There didn't used to be this many when I first got this. So let me see. I don't even know what that is. I haven't got the reference in front of me to tell you what they are. Yeah, that's probably a formant filter. Yeah, that's a formant filter. Wow, that's very quiet. Obviously, with each filter, you have got then you've got options with all the different types of filters within. So you might have, you know, 8 different filter variants, but in with each variant, you've got all these selections as well. So that's a massive amount of filters that you can muck around with. So yeah. I need to get up my reference so I remember what I'm talking about. System-8 firmware update. So what have you guys been doing this weekend? Anything cool? Alright. System-8 firmware version 1.3 is the one where they brought out the JX3P plug out. And a few bug fixes. So the 1.2 was the big... Okay, so dates, it was last year. So June 2018 was the one where they introduced the 2 types of FM oscillators. And the 2 types of... Sorry, there's 5 new types of filter variants. Okay, so there were 5. So let's go to 8th variant is a harmonic. 7 and 6 are formant. 5 is Juno 106, and 4 is Jupiter 8. So in the System 8 engine, you can actually use a Jupiter or a Juno filter, which is awesome. And that was added in that firmware update, and they reckon that they have updated the firmware details in the user manual. So if you guys have got a System 8 and you want to know if this new information is in here, it's been updated. Not only that, but they also have plug out parameter things that you can show and download and things like that. So if I've got this open, we can definitely access questions and things like that at the same time. What I want to do is I want to get the thing about the filter, because that was pretty cool. Filter, mixer, amp, here we go. It's not telling me here. I wanted to find the bit that talks about the these ones, the formant and the harmonic filter stuff, because there was some cool things in there. I'm trying to find it. Let's see if I can find it with the harmonic. Yes, it's not in there. They lied. It's not in there. Why you lie, Roland? Sorry, I'm just looking up at the web, and I'm on the Roland US website, and it's not in here. Okay. So yeah, in the release notes, it was written in there, formants and harmonics. So we're in 8, which is harmonic. Can't even hear that. Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So with the formant filters on this, you're supposed to be able to, between the variants 6 and 7, you're supposed to be able to get all the human vowel sounds, A, E, I, O, U, and it's just by mucking around with that. So technically you could actually get your synth to talk a little bit if you're really good at programming it. So that is actually a pretty cool thing. And I think one of the things that I like is the Juno filter. Let's get this thing working so you can hear it. Now, one people say to me, this is a digital synth, so how can it be as good as an analog synth? Well, it isn't. It is. Okay, so I think people just need to get off their high horses about this argument. For people like me, we can't afford to buy Juno 106. There's probably maybe only a handful of Juno and Jupiter synthesizers. Maybe even, I don't even know if there's one in my city. So where I live, this is the best thing that I'm going to get to making a Juno sound. And to be honest, like, someone's not going to buy a record or download or stream a song and go, ah, that's a Juno 106, and then go, oh, hang on a minute, no, it sounds like it was done on a System-8. I mean, we've got to get real about this stuff. What we want is, as synthesists, we've got to get the sound, and Roland had delivered. That is, when you think about it, there's no, you know how in the old days was digital stuff, you had stepping and that, there's no stepping. The resolution in the System-8 is really, really high. Okay, let's go down the octave. So if I can get this thing to bite. Hello, Electropolis. You are Japanese. Let me turn it up a bit. Now, this is why I love the Juno filter. Whoa. On those sine waves, those harmonic, subharmonic sine waves. That's basically a sine wave, but geez, like, just, that's a digital filter doing that. So I don't care what anyone says. That sounds pretty freaking analog to me. So 888 Berg, how you going? He's been eyeing off an Alpha Juno 2, which are much cheaper, used to, yeah, they are actually really, really hard to program because there's no knobs and things. It's all like menu diving and button presses. And not only that, it's menu diving and button presses developed in the 80s. So, you know, if you want a Juno. See, I don't even think an Alpha Juno sounds like a, you know, another type of Juno. You'll get that argument, but if you want a Juno sound, an Alpha Juno is a way to get it. So I think this is definitely a way to get a Juno sound. You know. Well, that's going to blow your ears. Sorry. This has even got the noise. You can hear. Can you guys hear that noise panning? Listen carefully. You'll hear it. I can turn it up louder for you. That is the chorus emulated noise. That is, they've gone to that level where, whoa, that's loud. Sorry, bring that down. You can actually turn that off if you hate it. So, but that by default is the chorus, and it's emulated inside the chorus part here. So, how do I turn it off? I think it was. No. Yeah, there it was. Okay, so okay, so see on here you've got the display, and it says Juno Chorus 1 and Juno Chorus 2, and then you've got this tone control, right? That turns the noise off, and this other one is your chorus depth. So that just adds the noise in. So if you don't like the noise, you can turn it off. But that they've gone to that, you know, they know that their old BBD chorus was noisy, and some people are saying, why would you recreate our chorus, that famous chorus, without that noise? Well, there's the noise. I mean, I'm not harping on that point, but geez, what more can you want them to do? And this thing does. Geez, that's loud. Sorry. Still too loud. I'm peaking. Sounds like a Juno to me. And there's that famous pulse width sound of the Juno. So one thing you'll notice too, when I'm in the Juno plug out, I mentioned it before, notice how oscillator 2 is all dim, whereas oscillator 1 has still got the green lights. And you'll also notice that the second envelope on the amp, the actual slider, is not the top part. That is also being dimmed because the Juno only has one envelope. So it's not like saying, oh, here's a Juno, but you know what, we've added another envelope. So some people would say to me, well, why didn't you do that? Well, guess what? They did, and it's called the System-8. So, you know, you can do a Juno chorus in the System-8. So it's all there. It's just a matter of getting your head around what you want to do. Questions, guys? Electropolis saying he's not good at English, but he loves synthesizers. Well, that's why we're here, mate. We all love synthesizers. And you know what? I'm a little bit jealous that you said that you're from Japan, because I would love to go there and check out. From what I've seen on the internet, there's stores that have got so many retro vintage synthesizers for sale in Japan, and you know, would love to get my hands on some of them, and I just can't get them where I live. I live in Western Australia, which is a similar time zone to Japan, but it's on the bottom part of the world, and you guys are on the top part of the world, Northern Hemisphere. So there you go. 888 saying the color scheme is a bit meh. So yeah, it is. Look, it's what would you say? It's kind of. It's 90s. Let's call it 90s. I would say it's like a 90s style with the green and the black. Roland do like that sort of style. That's I think that's just their trademark. A lot of people don't like the green. You can can you change the colors? I don't know if you can change the colors of the green, but what you can do is you can disable, there's like a demo mode where all the lights flash. You can disable that, and I think you can actually dim the, I've never actually tried this, but in the menu under the system, yeah, this one, I think it's this one. Yep. Yeah, so you've got, oh, that's LCD contrast, sorry. So you can turn the knob LEDs off. See that? So, you know, some people might say, I don't like all the green lights. It just, I want to sound like the Queen. I don't like all the green lights. There you go. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. But you could do that. Yes, there we go. LED brightness. So I don't know. Let's turn this light off up here. Whee. My camera's going to really struggle to pick this up, but let's go right down. This is 1, and we'll go right up. Yeah, it's picking it up on the camera. I might turn the light back on though. I think it's better with the light on. Yeah, it's actually better with the light on. You can see the difference. So if you find that's too bright, then turn it down. You know, it was default is 8. So that's there. Auto off, 240 minutes. Start up, patch. There's all sorts of stuff. LED demo, 5 minutes. That's the thing I was talking about. There's all sorts of stuff you can set in this thing, you know, so it's not too bad. I think people whinge about stuff. Once you get your head around the stuff that you don't like the look of, go for the sound, not the look. We're not buying a synthesizer for how it looks. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see. You can't see actually, can you? How do I do this? My System-8 has aluminium sides like the old original Jupiter. I'm going to move it and you guys can see. See the aluminium sides here? So I've added that to mine. It actually makes the thing heavier, and it actually makes it more sturdier, those aluminium sides, trust me. I did a video on it anyway, so I'm missing out on all the chat. Electric vomit. So Electropolis has got an early type Juno 106. So it's the Juno 106 is the MIDI version of the Juno, and it's got the more stable oscillators, and what else would I say? The chorus sounds slightly different to the Juno 6 and the Juno 60. So when you say you've got an early Juno 106, I didn't realize there were different versions of Juno 106, so that's cool to know. Triple 8 Berg's got a TR8S. Yeah, they did. They did tone down the TR8 look. I've got a TR8 right there. You can see the buttons. I'm turned off at the moment. I won't be buying a TR8S. I can't justify the price, considering I've already got an MPC and an Octatrack and all that sort of stuff. So no need for it. And see, some people like Michael says he loves the look. So like I said, it's just a look. Who cares? Like, if the look is that bad, then just don't buy it, you know? But really, it's the sound that we want. And the sound is what we go for synthesizers for. And the ability to... I mean, look, this thing, if you want to know how cool this synthesizer is, I'm not exactly a synthesizer sound designer expert, okay? But just to give you an idea, this synthesizer can sound like a Juno, it can sound like a Jupiter, it can sound like its own thing. It's got FM, it's got formants, it's got vocoders in it. And just to give you an idea of that, if that doesn't excite you, and I'm not trying to sell this or anything, but it also can sound like a CS80. Where we go? too loud. Sorry. Just not doing it hard. So that's the him sound, and then you've got. Okay, so here's the System-8 trying to sound like a Roland VP330. Let's turn the effects off. It's not bad. I mean, we've got, as you know, we've got a VC340 here, which is the VP330 clone. Doesn't sound the same, but it's not bad. It's someone's patch anyway, so. So, I mean, this thing can sound, it's like a chameleon. It can sound like anything you want synthesizer. So, what are the inbuilt FX like? Roland Lush pads, love a decent reverb, anything close to decent pads like Big Sky Adventurers. Yeah, I think the reverbs can sound cool. Let's go back to the System-8. And we'll go to like a nip patch, which I hope. There we go, got a nip patch. So let's add reverb. Okay, so that's the ambience reverb. You guys can see when I'm changing these things here, right? You can see it there. And when I'm changing levels, it'll show you that as well. So that's ambient maxed out. Alright, this is just a sawtooth wide. I'm not trying. Do you guys want me to make it a bit more of a paddy sounding wave? Like that? There you go. It's a paddy sounding wave now. Alright, let's go to the next one, which is room. To me, that sounds like a Roland room reverb, probably dating all the way back to, God knows, D50. So that's typical Roland sounding reverb. Hall, let's try that. Okay, now let's try the next one, which is Hall 2. Okay, that's Hall, and then we can try Plate. So Plate has that kind of metallic ring to it, and that's typical of Roland. Is there a D50 plug out? No, not for the System-8. But there is a D50, what do you call it, VST in their Roland Cloud thing. Next one is modulation. That's full too. Okay, and the last one, that was the last one. So there's all your reverbs. Now, the reverbs, I guess, excuse me for my throat, I've got a little cold. The reverbs have to, there's limits to what there are on here. So, look, if you're after something better than that, then add them in through post-production or through an effects unit or pedal or something like that. But I find that there's a fair bit of reverb in there. Don't forget too, it also has, so it has kind of like three effects that you can use in the chain. So you can use a delay or a chorus, and you can also use any of these effects in the first one. So there's overdrive, distortion, metal, fuzz, crusher, and phaser, and so let's turn the reverb off. Let's get phaser going with a So even with the other types of effects, you can create kind of combinations, and all of that I was just doing then was just one sawtooth oscillator. And you can add all of these other oscillators in. So, and that's just done here through the mixer section. So let's add a sub oscillator while we're at it. That warms it up. We're going to go to a 18, go to a 12. This will be much more resonant. So let's automate that sort of filter thing. We're doing that with the LFO. So, adding a sub oscillator in, and it can add an FM oscillator into this. So, I mean, you could just get, honestly, you could lock yourself into a room and play with these things for hours and hours and hours, and then once you're happy with it, you can save it as a patch. And I think from a sound design point of view, this synthesizer is really, really, really good. So if that's what you're after, and you guys need to ask me to do stuff too. Don't forget, don't just let me do it on my own. Who wants to hear what the Jupiter sounds like while I'm waiting for questions? That's the string. These are all just the standard patches that it comes with. And I'm peaking again. Again, it's still peaking. And obviously you can... So some people say digital synths really show their colours at the lower and higher octaves of their oscillators, because the way computers generate the oscillators and everything, you know, you can really notice it. So let's go right up to the top. See, it's really, really good. So don't worry about things like that. Okay, so have I tried the VST version? Yep. Don't think it sounds quite the same, but having said that, it's usually due to your sound card. So what this is, what you guys are hearing is the System-8 going directly into a Presonus Studio Live mixer with no effects. The EQ is flat, there's no compression, no gating, anything like that, and straight into the audio stream. So the actual physical TRS outputs on the back of this. Whereas when you're playing with a VST, you're going through your sound card or your audio interface, and I guarantee you every audio interface sounds different. There's very subtle, but they all sound different because they have different digital to analog converters on them. There's all sorts of reasons why they sound different, but they do. So when I've listened to the VST version of the System-8, I listen to it using my Presonus Studio Live mixer as my sound card, which would, you'd think, give me a fairly even playing field. So I actually wouldn't be surprised, and this is what Roland do with all of their hardware synthesizers, is the output, the physical outputs on their synths tend to have some sort of EQ treatment, some sort, whether they've put it through a capacitor type circuit where they've filtered the bottom end and makes the bottom end more beefy. There's just some more warmth to the actual physical sound of the System-8 that you do get out of this than you do get out of the VST. So I don't know. I've actually tried using it through the System-8 as a sound interface, and it still has the same problem. So maybe there's a subtle difference between what the FPGA can do and what your computer can do. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist. So, hey Chris. Yeah, way too many controls. See, that's the thing. Some people don't like all this. They think it's like, whoa, you know, this is... I'm going to have to sit here for a month to get my head around this. It's kind of like when I first got the Octatrack. It's like, whoa, you guys want me to work on that tiny little screen? And you've got all of this stuff around it. You know, it was kind of like that. I guarantee you with the System-8, there's actually a method to their madness. So this actually isn't as daunting as people would believe. because you're only having to touch these things when you need them, and they're all actually laid out in a fairly logical form. So kind of similar to the way Moogs have been laid out, where you've got oscillators, oscillator mixer, filters, envelopes, effects are on the end, and then any of the modulation effects are done over here. Now on the left, where you can't see it's that way, there's arpeggiator and a couple of other things. So you've got some performance controls over here. You know, it's not important for the video. So you're only using that stuff when you need to. There's two kind of modes with this. There's patch mode, which is this light here, and there's manual mode. And whenever you go into manual mode, if I press that now, any setting that I've got on this thing, it's exactly how all the knobs and everything is set. So that's what manual mode is. As soon as I go into patch mode, it's whatever patch that I've got loaded. So that's actually pretty cool, because in a performance you can have some sort of manual control happening. So say for example you've got a patch loaded, and then you want to slightly modify that patch in a performance, but then you want to go back to how the patch originally sounded without losing those settings. So you can actually switch between patch and manual mode. That's actually really cool. Not only that, but you can also there's performance mode, which is kind of layering and stuff, and then you've got you know, parts on that. So you can have Jupiter and a Juno, or a System-8 and a Jupiter, or a JX3P and a System-8. You know, you get the idea. So how easy is it to assign modulations? So modulations are all done here with the LFO, or depending on what you're using. So there's, for example, there's envelope modulations. Now envelopes have been changed in this now so that they can loop and things like that. What else? Also with the oscillators, you've also got these oscillator modulation settings too, and there's heaps of them. There's, you can see it here, there's manual, LFO, envelope. So the two different envelopes, and then you can also modulate with oscillator 3. So we're in Jupiter. So okay, so when I'm changing this, have a look at the screen. VCO modulation, LFO, envelope 1, envelope 2. So 2 minus 2 plus, 1 minus 1 plus, manual. So per plug out changes depending on your mod. Is that what you wanted to know, 888 Berg? Does that answer your question? Also, don't forget you've got oscillator sync, ring modulation. There's pitch modulation here. There's you over on the left here. You've got pitch and I can't show you because I can't actually move this any further over. But you've got, but I might be able to do this actually. Let's go to full screen. Okay, so over here on the left, you guys can see the pitch and mod wheel, and that's how you can set that. And then you've also got all of these settings up here: arpeggiator, you got chord memory, octave, velocity, transpose. You can turn the velocity off on the keyboard so it always plays the same velocity. So we don't really need to show that in this video anyway. So there you go. Cool. What did I miss? TR8 TR606 is not so good. Yeah, I probably agree. They probably didn't model it. There's my guess. Remembering that Electropolis mentioned in chat that the TR8 TR606 engine is not good. So remembering that in when Roland did all the when they first started doing the IRA stuff, they were talking about FPGA programming of analog circuits. So it was called ACB, analog circuit behavior. And what they did is they went through, and you could see videos of them doing stuff with multimedias and oscilloscopes, and they're all wearing their white coats and they were looking like scientists and stuff. And they probably were actually doing this, but technically what they were supposed to be doing is they were getting an electronic circuit, programming that electronic circuit as a logic array in an FPGA, and then on top of that making algorithms that then did differences in temperature. So as capacitors heated up and cooled down, there'd be differences, and then they'd add things like age and all sorts of stuff to try and get the FPGA to behave more analog. But they never did it with the 606 as far as I know. So that might answer your question. I think it was more a sample based 606. All the controls. Michael B says he wants all the controls. We all do. Is the Behringer neutron over? What do you mean by that? Is it over? I did the Behringer neutron last week on the live stream. Sorry. Oh yes, because you're probably looking at the graphic on the thumbnail. I didn't get a chance to update the thumbnail. Sorry. It's only this. Okay, so last week, this is for Electropolis. Last week we did the Behringer neutron and the Strymon magneto, which is a Eurorack module, and we were going to do the System-8 as well, but as it turned out, we didn't have time to do the System-8. So then I said, okay, well, we'll do the System-8 this week. And as you can see, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, and we're still talking about the System-8. So these things are massive. They're huge topics. You can't spend 5 minutes, talking about these things. You've got to go into detail. Everyone has different questions about these things too. So that's the whole point of this live stream, is so that content is not one way, which actually, in a way, you guys have to kind of agree. One thing I love about live streams is the content is two-way. So you guys are asking me questions, and then I can, feed that back to you, and it's two-way. I mean, it'd be even cooler if we had Skype calls and you guys were chatting to me as well. But we can definitely do that. But most videos that I do and I edit and I put it up on my channel, that's one way. So I've just come up with an idea. There's the video. If you like it or if you hate it, that's kind of it. Whereas with this, it's two way. So in a way, you're kind of, it's like the old days with those books, Choose Your Own Adventure. You guys can sort of tell me what it is that you want to see or hear or do with this particular subject, and in a way, that's better for you. Can the sequencer play chords? Yes, it can. The sequencer in this is actually pretty good. I'm not a massive fan of it though, but pretty good. It does rests and ties, and it can do polyphonic chords in each step as well. I don't know if you want me to show you. I haven't done it for a while. It's probably not the best patch. What's on here? No, it's not on there. So there's no, there's no sequence in some of these patches, so it's going to take me a while to try and find out these. So Michael, last week we had a Skype guest on. So he was, I think he just finished a gig and he jumped on and he was talking about his stuff. So if you want to be a Skype guest on my live stream, send me a message and we'll tee it up. I'm absolutely open to, there's no rules. Anyone or everyone can be on here. I guess obviously we want sensible people on here. We don't want to have idiots or anything like that. But, it doesn't matter if you don't know anything about synthesizers. You don't have to be, you know how we watch some of these YouTube channels and there's some really knowledgeable people. You don't have to be one of those people. All you have to be is just someone who has a passion to be brave enough to show your face on YouTube. It's pretty boutique, our channel. It's like, what's that? It says it's about, I don't know, 100 people watch these live streams each week, so it's not a massive audience, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I would be more than happy to have you on, so definitely hook me up, let me know, and we can do a test call during the week. And I don't know what time it is your part of the world, but you know, if you've got free time, Michael, you seem to be on here quite regularly, so absolutely be more than happy to have you on. And you can talk all about your beats and your gear and all that sort of stuff. I think everyone needs to, I mean, I'm no different to you. Everyone's the same. We've got our own ideas, got our own gear. We've all got our own opinions, and I think it'd be interesting to hear yours. Electropolis says, I am YMO mania. What is that? Why? I'm not up with all the terms. What does YMO mania mean? Sorry, I had to cough. Okay, so +5 Eastern time. So that's Europe. Cool. So yeah, it's getting later in the afternoon where you are. Quite late at night, actually. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. Electropolis, tell me what YMO means, or someone else might want to jump into chat and tell us what YMO means. Oh, okay. So another thing too. So during the week, oh, okay, Boston, USA, awesome. So you're that way. Okay, yeah. So it's earlier for you. It's yeah, you'd be -5, mate. Yeah, you'd definitely be -5. Because the 0 is, you know, UTC, which is in England basically. So the time travels to the east around the world. Yep. That's all right, man. No problems. No problems. So I mean, 11 o'clock. You're actually 12 hours behind me. There you go. So, you know, it's not terrible for you. It's just Saturday mornings. You know, if you're not working, waking up, have a coffee, jump on a live stream. Easy peasy. Boston's an awesome place, by the way. I love Boston. There's some beautiful country around there. There's some awesome houses. It's a nice part of the US. I like it. I think I don't know if you guys watch Sonic State. I think Rich Hilton lives in Boston. If you watch Sonic State, so there you go. There's a bit of a plug for Rich. Electropolis says he loves Kraftwerk. Oh, okay. YMO must be a group. Sorry, I don't know who YMO is. Okay, cool. I'll check out your Facebook stuff in a sec, mate. Just after the live stream's finished. Absolutely. Kraftwerk. Yeah, I think I would be very surprised if anybody in here doesn't or hasn't heard or isn't influenced in a tiny little way from Kraftwerk. I think Electropolis, I think you've you know, most of us will like part of their journey. I think a lot of us have different I mean, there's parts of Kraftwerk that I didn't like. There's parts of Kraftwerk that I absolutely loved. So yeah, absolutely. Yellow Magic Orchestra. Ah, okay. I don't know who they are. I'm gonna have to check them out now. So, Michael, I've just got your notification through, so I'll check that out in a sec. Awesome. Thanks, Electropolis, for the plug of YMO. I'm going to have to go check them out now. In fact, I was actually going back through some of my old music. Yeah, I think it was Thursday, and Oh, okay, Japanese craftwork, cool. So, you know, back in the days when we had Napster and we were all playing MP3s, I had this massive, huge hard drive full of MP3s that I found in a cupboard. And I wanted to check to see if there was some MP3 files on this hard drive that I don't have on my media server here in the house. And I came across these Ortekra MP3s, and there was one that I used to have that I listened to all the time, and it was from their I don't know if you guys remember the Ortekra as an electronic artist. I think they're from the UK. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing Ortekra right. I think it's Orteka. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, Orteka. So they're an electronic group that were formed in the UK in the late 80s, I think. Now, if I remember rightly, one of the guys was Rob Brown or Bob Brown or something like that. I forget anyway. So this is just off the top of my head. But anyway, I was going through that and there was a couple of Orteka songs on there. And they were from their very, very first album, which is called Inconubula or something. I don't know. I don't even remember how you say it. Let me just look it up quickly so I'm not being stupid here. Here we go. Yeah, I actually got it right. Inconubula. So that was released in 1993. And I think this hard drive was probably late 90s. So anyway, so there was one song on there which was from that Inconubula album that I used to listen to all the time. It was called Culpole Intro, and it was the first track off that album. And I used to love it. It was just really kind of ambient and, you know, bizarre type of electronic music. Probably has influenced me. And anyway, so I thought to myself, I've got to go and check out I've never checked out this album. I've never actually listened. So I jumped onto Spotify, and luck would have it, they've actually got their whole catalogue up there. So I actually spent the last couple of days going through, you know, this album and listening to the rest of the album, and I have to say I was blown away how good it was. In fact, what was good about it was the fact that this phenomenon of it, their style of music was, like I said, back in the late 80s, early 90s, was really, really quite bizarre for the time. But when I listen to it now, it sounds like what most of us are doing on Eurorack and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm very keen to find out more about the gear that these guys used, and I know they had 808s and stuff like that, but just more about, you know, how they went about sequencing it. Did they use computers? Did they have hardware? Like, just all of that stuff. And yeah, so there's kind of like, there was just this little journey for me where I don't usually do this sort of thing. I usually kind of like to do my own music and then evolve from there. But I like I said, I found this hard drive, I found this track on there, and then all of a sudden I found myself, you know, down a rabbit hole exploring someone else's music. And I think, I don't know, have you guys done that? Have you kind of explored, you found a track that you liked from a group, and then you've explored the rest of their music, and you found yourself just immersed in that whole world? And then you find yourself Googling them and seeing if there's YouTube videos on them or anything like that. Yeah, I was reading BCA 303 is saying that they're part of artificial intelligence Warp Records. Yeah, so I was actually reading the whole history about that. I actually didn't even know that existed either. So you know, remember how I was saying at the start that I think I got that track off of Napster? So this is actually one of the things that, you know, was probably bad about Napster in the days when they were out. That, you know, you could get free downloads of music. You weren't supposed to. You were supposed to be paying for them. And I mean, obviously, where I used to pay for my music. So I can't remember. I mean, like, this thing was 20, 25, 30 years ago when I got it. So, but the thing is that when you bought, it's like buying a single. You never got the rest of the catalog with it. And I used to like to buy CDs and before that, obviously cassettes and vinyl. And you'd go for it because of a track, but then you would explore the rest of the album. That's what you did. But the thing with the digital stuff these days is you might hear a track. It might be in a playlist, like especially on Spotify. You might hear a track, and it's in amongst hundreds of other different artists' tracks, and sometimes it's impossible to go back to that track and then sort of dive down that rabbit hole and explore them. So yeah, in a way it was kind of like, it was a happy moment but a sad moment, because I thought to myself, wow, I've missed out on all of this stuff that these guys released. And then on top of that, as BCA 303 mentioned, there was this huge backstory about these Warp Records people and how they got the Autechre guys in, and it kind of all went on a different journey after them. But like, it was really, really interesting, and they really kind of backed these kind of very out there type artists, and I don't know if it paid off for them financially. I do believe that it wasn't a very good money making thing for them, but I don't think they actually did it for that. And I'm so glad that they did what they did, because we wouldn't be here talking about it today if they didn't. Okay, so Rob Brown and Sean Booth, yeah. So Electropolis is saying he loves New Order. Okay, so they're a blast from the past, New Order. I think I was talking about them a couple of weeks ago. And he's saying his first synthesizer is a Korg MS-10. Wow, that's a cool first synthesizer, let me tell you. There's a video on my channel, Electropolis, of what my first synthesizer is, and I'm not going to go into it now because I want you to go check it out after the live stream's finished. And you'll find it is completely different to your first synthesizer. So, I'm in a way a little bit jealous. The first synthesizer that I ever used, not the one I ever bought or owned, that I ever used, was a DX7. So there you go. I've got a DX7 now, but it's not the one that I used. But yeah, the first one I ever used. So my first ever relationship with the synthesizer was digital. I never thought about it like that. There you go. And here I am loving analog. That's probably why. So getting back to Warp Records, Triple Eight Burgers talking about how a twin and the Scottish Gods BOC. Yeah, I need to check all that stuff out, because if it's along that Autechre line, I'm going to be I think I'm going to be enjoying it. Look, the thing that, getting back to what I was talking about with that Incunubula album, if you haven't heard it for a while, go back and listen to it again. It's kind of like we were talking about 9 Inch Nails last week, right? And we were talking about Eraser as a song, and it's kind of like one of their further down the track songs. It was definitely a cool song that I made. I actually, after I had the live stream last week, I went and listened to the album which they had Closer on, and I wanted to listen to some of that rawer stuff that they did early in the piece, and geez, it just takes you down a different journey, and it's been a long time since I originally heard all that stuff. So it probably, I think it was after Autechre's. I think that's kind of mid to late 90s, and this was early 90s. Anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but it was 90s stuff. But when you think about it, it was really kind of futuristic. It was, how we talk about how Jean-Michel Jarre and Vangelis, they were, well ahead of their time. We always hear people say, oh, we're well ahead of their time, and nobody understood them when they first brought their albums out, and obviously we're loving them now. Well, I think these guys they were also well ahead of their time. But go back and listen to it, you'll know what I mean. It's got very current sort of things that you'll hear in a lot of the Eurorack stuff that you hear in. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I'm definitely not a journalist, and I don't have the gift of words, but it's definitely something. Oh yeah, the System-8 screensaver. We were talking about that before. Let's turn it off. Off. Done. Beautiful. I don't like it. I know you might like it, but trust me, it's a pain, especially if you've got it running and you had to go and do something else, and this thing's flashing in the background. It's so distracting. I forgot to turn it off. Okay, so where did we get to? Definitely a golden age. Yeah, foundational. I think it's foundational, and that's the thing. Like I mean, we always talk about Aphex Twin. We always talk about all these other artists who like, Moby. These are other artists that we talk about, but people like, Ortega, they don't get the accolades that they deserve, and I reckon a lot of those artists were influenced by them. They were kind of underground. They probably even still are. I think I was very, very lucky to even have discovered them, because they're not they're not mainstream. You don't. I mean, where I live here, you don't necessarily get access to everything here. So Japan's bad habits. There's nothing wrong with Japan's bad habits, mate. They make some good stuff. If it wasn't for Japan, we wouldn't be enjoying a lot of things in this world. So if they want to make pretty lights flash, then let them do it. As long as they can let us turn it off. Anyway, we've been chatting. What more do you guys want me to do on this thing? Yeah, basically, I didn't actually mean that they were, but I'm just sort of saying that Ortega probably influenced other artists. I was reading about stuff that Rob had said. They don't talk much, those guys, actually, and I was reading stuff about what he'd said earlier about who influenced him, and they don't really they don't talk a lot about it. So I think, the gist of what I was getting from when he was talking about what influenced him in making his music was more about doing something that was original and coming up with a sound, and then there was a palette to that sound, and he kind of explored it. That was kind of his world. I'm sure he had influences though, but everyone does. It might have been classical. Who knows? Like Clint Mansell. He's influenced people, but where he started was with Pop Will Eat Itself. So you can go anywhere and you can find people that have got influences. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a style within itself, but I definitely, it's a corner. Let's call it a corner. And maybe, like I said at the start, they didn't get the accolades that I think they deserve. And I think a lot more people, if they were honest, they would actually admit that they've listened to them. So I remember listening to them in the 90s, and their music was on repeat. There was all sorts of tracks that I had from their different albums, and first 3 or 4 albums, and it was on repeat, just in the background, because they didn't have any vocals. They had samples, they had that sample thing, but they didn't have any vocals, so it was great. Like, I could study to it if I was doing uni and things like that, so it was perfect. I reckon they are copied, yeah, definitely. And I don't think anyone ever acknowledges them. I would be the first to say that, they're definitely one of my influences when I make my music. I talk about my influences are you know, go all the way back to the, you know, the 60s and 70s, but they actually also go lightly back into the 90s. You know, like there's some really cheesy music that I used to enjoy, and I don't even know if I want to admit it, in the 90s. So we get like crumbs of influences, you know, and that all forms what we do, don't we? So yeah, enough about that. I mean, yeah, System-8. I mean, it's really what more could I show people on this thing? I think it's, you know, it is what it is. What I would recommend is if you haven't got a System-8 and you are thinking about getting one, or you want to know more about it, I mean, do the obvious stuff and go and check out all the YouTube videos on it. I've got a couple on my channel. Obviously, there's plenty others out there that are better than what I can come up with. But if you can, I think you can get like a trial version of the Roland Cloud. If you can, get yourself a copy of the Roland Cloud and play with it through that. It's pretty, like, it's almost exact. So don't listen to me whinging about the differences in, the differences in sound cards, in audio interfaces. Don't listen to me with that. It sounds the same. But I think if you can find one in a music store, most music stores do stock Roland. So if you can get your hands on one, if you're a real keyboardist, like, in other words, that you've come from the piano background, or you're an organist, or, you know, you like that style of keys being quality, you're going to be very disappointed in the keys on this, because they're very typical Roland synth type keys, very plasticky, very light. There's no aftertouch. They're absolutely, you know, probably, you know, anything like the Roland XP, you know, all that sort of style. Nothing's really changed there. I know Roland do sort of weighted keys on their piano range. It's nothing like that. But check it out, because if you're getting this because you want to use it as a performance synth, it's a real, how do I say it? It's kind of like a synthesist's synth as opposed to a keyboard player's synth. Does that make sense? Do you guys know what I'm talking about, or am I just crapping on? How do I say it? As long as, if you're not after quality, you know, tactile feedback from the keyboard, and you're really just more about pressing C to get the sound of C, and you don't really care too much about the feedback and the feeling of the keys, then you won't have a problem with the System-8. Send us out with a massive chord memory house jam. It's not going to happen, mate. House jam. Oh dear. Chord memory. Chord memory. Alright, let's get some reverb. And some delay. Can do arpeggiator chords. So that's something I didn't tell you guys about. You can do arpeggiator chords. So if you've got the chord memory, so there's the chord memory there. You hold that down and you do your There's your chord. Let's turn the arpeggiator. Hold that down. There's your chord there. Okay, there we go. And then if you hit arpeggiate, it'll play that chord. So that's pretty handy. So it's got that. It looks like Devo. It probably does. I love Devo. Mark Malsberg or whatever his name is. He's still cooking around, that guy. He's doing some amazing stuff. He always has. Geez, I remember a few years ago I was watching something on TV. And it was like a kids show, and he had he was involved in the whole music side of that kids TV show. I forget what it was called now. Off the top of my head, Yo Gabba Gabba or something like that. I think that's what it was called. Yo Gabba. Yeah, Yo Gabba Gabba. And I don't know if his name is mentioned under the music side of things. Mark Mothersbaugh, yeah. He does these, the thing that I remember seeing him in, he does these kind of magic picture things. He paints and he draws sample pictures and they come alive. He was in that, but a lot of people don't realise, but a lot of the music that's in the show also comes from him as well. So if you've got kids and you've watched Yo Gabba Gabba, you get yourself a bit of Devo-ish influence in that show. I called my pet Whippet Devo. That's a cool name for a dog. That's awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Any more questions about the System-8? 888 Berg sent me. You sent me a comment on one of my videos the other day. Just one sec while I cough. Just mute. And 888 Berg wanted to know about control voltage with his. What did you say you had? A Keylab, I think it was. So, and I don't have a Keylab here. So if I can find the message, it's not going to show me. Anyway, so basically, 888 Berg you can tell us in the chat. So, I did promise that I was going to do the System-8 this week, and if you guys are interested, I can do a little stream on control voltage stuff. So, what can we do? So I can do it with the key step, because I don't actually have a Keylab, but as you guys can see, I'm trying to get the camera working a bit better. It's upside down, sorry. The CV output's there. It's got mod, gate, and pitch. Okay, and I mean we can do. We can do a Behringer Model D with CV gate. So you've got CV is the the voltage control that will do the pitch, and the gate is the notes on and off. So we can do that, or we can use the the Neutron, or we can use the Behringer MS-101. That's also got CV gate out on that as well. So we can go through it. But I thought maybe what I might do is use the use the key step, because the key step actually has like a MIDI control center software behind the scenes, and you can actually program. Whoops! You can actually program the types of voltages that come out of this, which is actually pretty cool. And I believe in the key lab, I believe you can do the same thing. So it'll probably translate across pretty easy for you. So if you guys are happy, I can do that next week, because we've been going for almost an hour and 50 minutes now, so we're probably getting to the end of this stream. Yeah. So I know it's another week to wait, but yeah. You know, we got to. I did promise to do this in this stream, and I did, and you know, here it is. The new thing is that this thing takes up so much room on my desk. Like literally, this is my desk. You guys can see. See, there's my monitor. It was one of my monitors. There's my keyboard and mouse. My glasses. My phone is here. There. So you know, it takes up so much room. So for me, normally where I would put one of these is on a synth stand, and maybe high up here or something like that. And I can't really do that for a live stream because I'll be constantly turning my head. But yeah, next week definitely Electropolis. Axel Soft, how you going, mate? You missed everything. Like we had Dancing Girls. Guys, tell him what he's missed. No, you didn't. He didn't. You missed the System-8, which I promised I'd do this week. And obviously, if you did miss part of the stream, as you guys know, the stream goes as a recorded video back onto my channel. So you're more than welcome to watch that. I think it takes a couple of hours for it to come up, so you know you can check back later on today. Yeah, I had right at the start of the stream, I think I was talking to myself. I didn't have very many people right at the start this week. It's probably my fault. I didn't do any social media posts about my stream this week. Yeah. I normally like send a couple of messages out on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. I just didn't get the chance. Been busy with family stuff this week, so you know, gets in the way. Yeah, System-8 is one of my favorites too. I didn't really, you know, I'm not the best person at reviewing stuff, to be honest. I'm kind of like you guys. I just like to play with it, and but you know, what I'm happy to do is put it in front of me, and you guys can ask me questions, and that's my gift to the world, however crappy it is. Yeah, it's a beautiful synth. Excuse me. It's probably one of my favorites, actually. Absolutely. If you like the Roland sound, yeah, this is definitely the Roland sound. Absolutely. So yeah, I might end the stream now. So yeah, guys, don't forget, please check out the rest of the video when it goes up if you've missed it. And as always, hit the like button if you liked my stream. I'd be more than welcome to have any of you on the stream next week. I did say that I'm more than happy to take Skype calls as well for the stream. So if anyone wants to put their hand up for that, I've already had one of you guys in chat today send me a message about that. So I want this to be as interactive as you guys would like. And if you're shy, you don't want to be on camera and things like that, that's fine, no problem at all. You can just be hiding in the background. That's perfectly okay with me as well. So, but like I said, this is all going to be kind of interactive. And so next week we'll definitely do what 888berg has requested. We'll do stuff on CV Gate and getting sounds out of your MIDI controller using CV Gate. And I think we can probably go a little bit further than that and you know, talk about how we can use that and how it will benefit us. So it's kind of like opening that little world of modular almost. So yeah, so cool, definitely. And don't forget, if you need to ask me a question or you want me to do something on the live stream, find me on all the socials. Now, I've got all my socials listed below here, so you'll see down there somewhere that way. There's Twitter and Facebook, and also you can just leave a message on my YouTube channel as well. So that's how you can get hold of me. And yeah, other than that, have an awesome weekend, guys. Really appreciate you joining me, and we'll leave it at that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.